Hello and welcome to Below the Title. I'm Robert.
And I'm Taylor, and today we're talking Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is Quentin Tarantino's 9th film. We're only going to get one more after this one. And it tells the story of Rick Dalton and Cliff Booth in 1969 Hollywood and their famous neighbour, Sharon Tate.
It's the end of the golden era of Hollywood.
This is a film that meanders. It is not in a rush to get where it's going. And I've seen it twice now. And the first time I saw it, I summed it up as it's a 2.5 hour film with 20 minutes of plot.
Yeah.
It is. Try and see people come back to that one because I'm right.
Yeah, it's about the era. It's about LA at a certain time and place. The feel of it. It's the look of it.
It's a love letter to LA.
Yeah.
And you can see that there's a lot of that in all those driving scenes, and there's many of them. It's just Tarantino talking about LA.
The setup for those driving scenes, I mean, the amount of work they did setting up the backgrounds, it's quite amazing how many background cars they've got.
It's because it's a work of passion.
Yeah.
And that shows. It comes across in it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the movie. However, especially as an editor, I get really... I just get bored when it's like, this is going on forever. Get on with it. And this has a lot of that.
Yeah, I've seen it twice, and I didn't find myself getting bored in the same way that I have in some of Tarantino's last couple of films. Maybe because these ones I was watching at home.
Yes.
I didn't see it in the cinema.
I saw it in the movies and then again in 4K.
Yeah.
The 4K looks absolutely gorgeous, by the way. This is a film that was shot on 35mm. It was finished at a 4K DI, and it shows.
Yeah, I didn't get bored by it, but I agree there are elements to it that are a bit unnecessary.
There's lots of stuff in it that doesn't really tie into the main narrative, but it's there to, embellish and give it a feel. And it's pretty much the entirety of Margot Robbie's role.
It's the end of an era, the end of the golden age of Hollywood. The Rick Dalton character, he's had his peak. He's sort of on the downward trend of his career. And the whole Manson murders is remembered as the end of that golden era. It was also the end of the counterculture, the hippie counterculture. It all sort of changed in the 70s. And the Manson murders actually were quite significant in Hollywood. A lot of people thought it was people coming after rich people, and people were moving out of Hollywood because they were actually genuinely scared. It was the end of an era in many ways. And so I think this, while it's a love letter to that golden era, it was a good sort of backbone to just to hang it on.
Because her story, it is in the background because our main characters really are Leo as Rick Dalton and Brad Pitt as Cliff Booth.
Yeah.
And for me, I only wish the whole film could be as awesome as Brad Pitt is because he is awesome.
They're both good. I do like Leo.
I like Leo.
They're both good. Brad Pitt is the standout.
Brad Pitt is a standout. I mean, I always used to give Brad Pitt a hard time. I used to give Brad Pitt a hard time because all he used to do was talk like that. And at some point, you'd get the hand movement. And I was watching this last night going, there's no Brad Pittisms.
No.
Like, he's acting and he's a charismatic one. But he was really good in it.
Yeah.
And especially towards the end of the film. Spoiler alert, it's one of Tarantino's revisionist history movies where he goes, you know what, this happened, but actually, let's have some fun with it. And it's him versus the hippies. That scene is just gold.
A lot of people have problem with Tarantino's films with the violence and the pretty gratuitous, over-the-top graphic violence.
This was over the top. But
that's a certain style.
It's a certain style. It works out really well. And to think that Brad's actually tripping out on acid all the way through it as well. Is tonight the night? Yeah. I think that's going to be my new call to call to action, because it works so well.
Away we go.
And away we go. That's great. But also, I think one of my favourite scenes in the whole film as well is when he goes out to the ranch.
Yes.
He takes the hitchhiker out to the ranch and he wants to check in on the guy who owns it.
Yeah, George.
And that's really tense.
Yeah.
And it gets more tense and more tense, and turns out, no, he's fine.
Yeah, he's all good with it.
He's all good with it. He's just happily banging on
because
girls.
Charles Manson is a big element in it, but he's only in it in one small scene, and he's not part of it really.
No, he's only in the one scene.
There was a lot of resistance from Sharon Tate's family about this film. They really didn't like it initially until Tarantino showed them the script and explained that it wasn't going to be just about her murder.
Bruce Lee's family might have a problem. But it's another great scene.
The complaint from Bruce Lee's daughter, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, saying he wouldn't be like that.
That he was portrayed as a bit of an arrogant,
he's egotistical and arrogant.
I think that scene wouldn't have been missed if it wasn't.
Oh, if it wasn't, it would make a great deleted scene just as well as it is that's in it.
Like quite a lot of these, there's some flashbacks that I think they were a little inconsistent and probably weren't necessary. But I guess it broke it up a bit and gave it a bit more interest.
Well, you got to stretch that 20 minutes of plot out.
Because, otherwise...
And then they go for another drive. Let's play more songs. Much. Oh, we keep driving, play a different song.
Yeah.
But if you live in LA, you're probably used to driving on freeways. It's all part of the love letter.
Well, that is... Yeah, LA is a car.
It's a car city.
It's a car city. There's some flashbacks that are quite amusing in it, like the whole thing with Cliff Booth supposedly killing his wife.
Every now and then there's an edit that just works in a film. The Big Lebowski's got Jesus going from door to door to tell everyone that he's a pederast, and the big guy goes to the door and he just goes, and it cuts. And this scene is the same. The wife is just this horrible woman, and he just looks up at her, and the harpoon gun's right there, and it works brilliantly. I absolutely love it when they do that sort of stuff. Yeah,
see, I mean that was an entertaining flashback. I thought the bit with Leonardo DiCaprio talking about how he could have been in The Great Escape seemed a little odd.
Well, it was a good excuse to show that we could get Leonardo into footage from The Great Escape.
Yeah, it was sort of inconsistent with what the flashbacks were used for.
Well, this was not a usually structured 3-act film.
No.
It didn't feel like one.
No.
It's meanders. It's the word I've used since day one.
The point where it gets sort of a bit of focus is the end, the build up to when the Manson family members come up. All of a sudden, the voiceover by Kurt Russell, which we sort of had earlier on, now comes back and it starts to narrate things more. So that was a bit more inconsistency there. But then it focuses and he's got the timing and this time they do this, and it was sort of generally followed what actually happened until when they decide to not go to Sharon Tate.
It's because he walks out and abuses the shit out of him and tells them to get the hippie-mobile out of there that they change tack and go after them. But just jumping back, as much as I love seeing Kurt Russell, because every movie with Kurt Russell is better because he is in it, I really found that voiceover out of place. And I was watching it going, why do we even need this?
Yeah.
But I'm still grateful for the fact that it wasn't like Quentin's voiceover in Hateful Eight, which,
that is probably, one thing I remember in relatively recent films, that took me out of a film.
It just took
Nothing's
me straight
taken
out
out of a film more than that.
Yeah, it's just like,
it's
okay.
Because it came back from the intermission and it was his awful voiceover.
And it was just really bad.
But that last half hour of the film, that's where it sort of really did get a focus. But up to that point, it was a bit here, a bit there. You had long scenes with Leonardo's character in the TV show part he was doing, which was about him having his breakdown and sort of trying to get over
and dealing with the young actress. The scenes with him and the young actress were great.
But it was dealing with him perhaps being past his peak and realizing that maybe you should go off and do other films. And
it was cool they got Timothy Olyphant in there.
Yeah. Weird hair.
His weird little hair. The thing that got me about it is when I think Timothy Olyphant and Western, I go to Deadwood. He is Seth Bullock, and Seth Bullock is a ball of rage and intensity.
And Justified.
The
modern...
I'll be honest, and this may... I haven't seen Justified.
It's worth it.
That may have lessened my credibility some. But to see him without the mo and the I'm going to beat you to a pulp look in his eye, he was this nice cowboy. It did take me out a little bit. But Timothy Olyphant's also another one of those actors that I will always...
He's always good.
Always good. Bring on the Olyphant.
Yeah.
Except for maybe Scream 2. That whole scene with Rick on the set And the way they treat him too, because he just walks in and he goes up to like a grip and says, "I'm Rick Dalton," and he's like, "Hey, you need to go over there." Yeah. You know what I mean? He has moved on. He's no longer the prime star.
Well, the whole thing with Al Pacino is also in this film.
Oh, gotta love some Al.
Rick. But as he explains it early on in the film, what the studios were doing, just having him as the bad guy and
constantly having the new up and coming
losing the fights to the new
him.
heroes, but they don't see it as the characters; they see it as the actor as being beaten up.
He's the actor's being beaten up,
which makes me think that's what Jason Statham. That's why he always has his contract say he can't lose a fight.
But he was in that video with the little Speedos. Yeah. He was. As long as that's out there, Mr. Statham, you're never going to be a 100% tough guy. No matter how much you growl, it's a megalodon.
So it was shot by Robert Richardson, who's a pretty long-time collaborator with Quentin Tarantino since Kill Bill, I believe.
And has worked with the likes of Scorsese and Oliver Stone in the past. Like when you read his filmography,
he's one of those DPs.
Wow, this guy has done some serious projects in his career.
That's why it looks so good.
That's why it looks good. Yeah.
They captured that sort of California look, that sort of sunburnt, sort of 70s look.
Golden
they got
hour, dusk.
Yeah.
The thing I've always thought, especially with these last movies, I mean, I've always enjoyed Tarantino's movies, but unfortunately, losing Sally Menke, who passed away around the time of Inglourious Bastards, I think that was the last one that she did for him. And since then, we've had Django, Hateful Eight, and now this one.
Yeah.
And I found them all a bit overbloated and indulgent. And I think as good a job as the editor on this film did, Sally kept Quentin in check.
Yeah. Well, it is after Inglourious Bastards that Django and Hateful Eight were the ones that I've really had the most problem with. And especially with Hateful Eight, that whole intro bit with them going in the stagecoach. Like, you should have started when they got to
the whole scene
and just trim it down.
Yeah, with Kurt and Samuel Jackson in the stagecoach isn't needed.
Yeah,
there's lots of that, and I think Fred Raskin did a great job on this. By all means, don't get me wrong; it's still a great, well together edited film.
Yeah,
I still think she was the one person that could keep him and go, Quentin.
Yeah.
Let's do this.
Well, yeah, it's interesting.
And he respected her and did it.
Yeah.
And ever since then, because I'll be honest, I mean, I hated Django.
Yeah.
And Hateful Eight was about an hour too long. And then this one, once again, it's very long. It clocks in at about 2 hours 40.
Yeah, 2:40.
Actually, not one Nick.
N-word.
One thing I noticed is like there's no N-bombs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Normally, Quentin Tarantino, there's going to be lots of N-bombs all the way through it, and this movie hasn't got a single one.
The love letter to LA aspect and the golden era, I guess it's fitting that if Tarantino does only do 10 films, this is also near the end of him making films.
It's his era.
Yeah. So it will be interesting to see what he does next. As his final,
will be the
final
and they'll sell it on that. Don't you worry about that.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a Tarantino horror film. After watching that scene where the tense scene at the ranch, he has the chops to pull off a horror film. Tarantino Disney film. That'll challenge him.
Which actor needs a comeback?
Yeah, well, actually, there's no actors in this that are resurrecting the career.
No. Maybe the next one could have like Lindsay Lohan in it or something.
She's still about.
I don't know.
Someone check a dumpster and see if she's around, please. Oh, no, she's still about. She was out here on an Australian show when we did our version of The Masked Singer. And apparently one of the best things to watch on it was the fact that Lindsay, they kept bringing out all this Z-list celebrities here. And the best thing would be to cut to her because she's going, who? Which is what the audience was doing too.
Yeah.
Huh?
That was the best acting I've ever seen in my whole life.
So what would you give Once Upon a Time in Hollywood out of 10?
I'm thinking around 7.5, 7, maybe 7.5.
Yeah, see, whereas I'm a 6.5 to 7.
Yeah.
Only because...
I think I did like it a bit more. Maybe because I looked up the whole Manson thing a bit more and understood that.
You did some research, whereas I just went...
It's, so that does give it a bit more depth to it. I think compared to the last couple of Tarantino films, I did enjoy it more. Watching it twice now, I wasn't bored really watching it both times. I actually quite enjoyed it. Yeah, I do think this one is worth a watch.
Definitely worth it.
Performances are great. The cast is great. I mean, we've only just mentioned a couple, but there's other really great actors in there. But particularly Brad and Leo.
Yeah, I would say watch it for Brad Pitt alone.
Yeah. As supporting
yes, what's the deal with that? Supporting actor.
They're both the same.
They're both the same. Like, they're carrying the movie together. Yeah. But he's supporting.
My impression of the film was more of him.
Yeah.
Like, I remember he has a bigger
his character
role in it.
Carries the DiCaprio's character. It's his job in life is to drive Leo around and make sure he's on time and get your shit together and do this, and he keeps him in check.
Yeah.
And I never saw him as a supporting in this.
So that was Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I think it was good. I do like it.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'll complain about the length.
Not perfect, but...
And go, it's really long. But I still enjoyed
enjoyable.
it. Yeah, I still enjoyed it. It wasn't a movie, I didn't hate it.
No, I would recommend it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I always say to people, watch, especially with something like this, watch it. It's the 9th film by this director.
Yeah, he is a pretty significant, important director. Since 92?
92 was Reservoir
Dogs, and every few years, he's done
every couple of years we get a Quentin,
the new film, and so it's definitely worth having a look at.
Absolutely. Thanks for watching this episode of Below the Title. If you'd like to see more, please like and subscribe, and don't forget to click that little notification so you know when we deliver more of this gold.